Hello, everyone. Welcome to Powerful Couple Journey, where we talk about immigration process, especially with our J1 waiver. And for today's video, we are going to focus on the Form I-485 and the petition, which is the Form I-130, and how it is important to stay legally living here in the U.S. as you go along with the exceptional hardship waiver to your U.S. citizen spouse. So let's dive in and let the journey begin.
So in our case of our love story, we had been dating for about a year, and then we got engaged. And not long after we got engaged, in fact, it was a day later, we started a joint bank account with each other. Got married 4 months later, and then like the following month, right after we got married, is when I filed the I-130 for her as your petition for your alien spouse. And this is important because this is where you're going to establish the basis for your coupling. You're going to show them the history you have together for dating and your engagement, and you're also going to show them the history that you have thus far as a married couple. And you want to accumulate as many, joint activities as you can, whether it be joint bank accounts, joint investments, joint ownership of anything, doesn't matter what it could be, house, car, boat, name it. You could also have even joint memberships count, even though they're small. Just anything you can think of, anything you can do together and have evidence to show them. That's what you want to have. And then this leads into, of course, you have to file the I-485 on the terms of that. And
This
honey,
adjustment.
that's the adjustment of status. Okay. And the reason why you need that is because as you progress through this, your status is going to need to change from being a J1 to a permanent resident. All right. And that's where that form is very important. Now, it's kind of come to our attention that some of you have been asking about, what if I do this and that in this procedure, and then we, get a divorce or get an annulment. And this is where I'm going to have to speak out, and you might not like what I have to say, but it needs to be said. See, my wife and I, we cannot in good conscience advocate for that. Okay. And the number one reason why we can't is because we are believers of Christ. Okay. You have to understand, when her and I got married, it wasn't just an agreement between her and I. It was an agreement between her and I and also God above. Okay. It's not just so much an agreement. It is a covenant.
Yes.
Okay. And that carries a lot more weight than an agreement. Okay. Because what you are in essence saying to God is that, God, I recognize that you brought me this woman to be my wife. She's a gift from you, and I want to treat her as such. And my job, as is her job as well as being the wife, is to always honor and be faithful to each other throughout this whole process. Sure, there's going to be temptations and hardships, but the important thing is you don't let the hardships break you, and you don't cave into the temptations, okay? And when I hear my wife told me what some of you are saying and doing, and it's upsetting to me, because you're not only usurping a covenant with God if you attempt to do these things, but you're also circumnavigating the entire purpose of the process.
Exactly.
Okay, and you don't want to be doing that.
And here's the thing too. We got married, but we are single prior to getting
Correct.
married. I don't have any divorce, annulment, no kids, no
Me
strings
neither.
attached. The same thing as his status. He is single. Now, with us, with the J1 Waiver Helping Hands group, we have other J1 teachers who are seeking to get the exceptional hardship waiver because of the 2-year rule. They're asking if they can get the annulment first or the divorce from me. And I don't have any idea about that.
Right.
So me telling my husband about that process too really hurts him, because we don't want to become the instrument where you're going to have to break your family in your home country, even though you're going to say, oh, we're already separated for several years. But again, you are still married, and you know your reason why you got here in the US. It's not because you wanted to get married. You wanted to establish that lifelong commitment to your kids, if ever you have that, and to give them a nice life. It's not because you wanted to get married to an American to give them a nice life. There's any other options there.
Right.
So if you ask me about what's the process of getting an annulment or a divorce in the Philippines, that way you can get married to your fiance or boyfriend now, sorry, we're gonna do hands up, and we can't help you with that.
Yeah. And another reason why it's bad is because you have to understand too, the Philippines is already on the U.S. government's radar screen for high degrees of marital fraud from
Mm-hmm.
prior. And when you're talking about us as an advocate for what you were discussing, you're just making that problem worse. And by making that problem worse, the people who are being legitimate about this, you're making their job that much harder. Okay. And
Exactly.
that's not fair to the people who, like us, for example, who really truly fell truly in love, wanted to be together, wanted to, start a life, start a family also. And you're making, when you advocate for these things and you want to, try to, snake through the process and then on the backside of it, get divorced, get the annulment, you're messing up the whole procedure and you're making it hard for everybody else that wants to do it the right way. So yeah, we can't in good conscience, give you advice on that, and we're not going to.
Exactly.
That's just the bottom line.
Before, with our case, we can file the Form I-130, concurrent filing with the Form I-485 adjustment
Right.
status, and the work permit, the Form I-765. But now, no, they have different rules, the same procedure, but different rules. You have to file for exceptional hardship waiver first with your DS-335 and your Form I-612, the foreign waiver. That is because they wanted to make sure you have the waiver first before submitting your Form I-130, due to the process that the Philippines is really subject to the 2-year rule. Whether you're a teacher, you are in agriculture, you're a researcher in the Philippines, we are part of the 2024 revised visitors exchange skills list, which means all of the numbers, the code there, we are part of, except for some which has the P13.01 code. And that is another story for you if you wanted to have an advice or opinion.
Right.
But the point of this video is to really tell you that do it legally in a good process with good intentions.
Yes, and with a clear conscience too.
Mm-hmm. And then if you ask us about, hey, I'm reaching out about divorce or annulment, we can't help you. That's not our process. Our process is both of us are single prior to getting married. We can also help those that are divorced, that are U.S. citizens,
Yeah.
and or Filipinas that have been widowed for several years already, and they are ready to remarry because they found the love of their life that God has been able to bestow them.
That's right. And, there's a biblical application to those two things. Number one, the Lord has no problem with someone who has been widowed to remarry. And if this person has been divorced because of it's marital infidelity, unfaithfulness is the one biblical ground for divorce. So if you had a spouse who cheated on you and you got divorced, you're okay. All right, because that aligns with biblical principles. But when you have people getting divorced because me and this person don't get along, or I'm bored in this marriage. No, that's a lousy reason. That means you're not working hard enough to make your marriage going and keeping it fresh. It means you need to get to work and work on your marriage. It's like a garden. You have to constantly tend to it. You have to be cultivating and tilling and feeding and nourishing and nurturing. That's what a marriage does.
And a marriage is a team.
That's
So
right.
when it comes to your exceptional hardship to your U.S. citizen spouse, you need to have that essence of teamwork in helping with your paperwork. Just like us, we did our waiver through do-it-yourself process. No lawyers, because first, it's very expensive. Second, when we had our consultation, he said it's not going to work. It's not going to work because your husband has no medical issues or concerns.
Right.
But then we found ways on how to show our waiver beyond the mere separation.
Right.
That is really extreme, exceptionally to my U.S. citizen. And if you wanted to purchase the J1 waiver bundle, we have the 68 pages that will help you from the checklist all the way to submitting your paperwork with guidelines, with videos that you can follow. Because when we had this during our time, nobody told us about this, nobody gave us any ideas, just researching on our own and reading the fine details.
That's right. What I want to say, just and as we wrap this up here, is just don't be discouraged. Okay, it is a lengthy process, but you know what? If you do all the steps and you do them thoroughly, and you don't skip any steps, and you just every instruction, you follow it to the absolute letter. You'll come out the other side of it like we did. Very happy with everything approved and everything lined
Yes.
up. And man, what a great piece of relief that was. I'll never forget the
Exactly.
day she called me up, told me that she got her waiver approved. I was actually driving. I was in transit
Right.
someplace
And
when
I
she
really
called
cried
me. She did.
tears of joy. And all of those agony of waiting is finally done.
Yes.
And that's why we had this J1 Waiver Helping Hands group and this YouTube channel to really give you an idea, to really uncover what we have done from the very beginning of our immigration process until now that I am a green card holder, a 10-year green card holder, thanks to my
Yes.
US citizen spouse. And a year from now, we'll file for naturalization or US citizenship.
Becoming citizenship. That's right. She
And
gets to
that will
take her
be
citizenship test.
yes.
It's like a history test, so study good for
Yes,
it.
I'm gonna prepare for that. And for those that are already a green card holder, with all this fear mongering that other people is saying in the
Yeah.
internet, don't believe on that one.
Yeah.
If you stayed on status without overstaying your visa and you have all your paperwork and legal documentations, do not be afraid.
Yeah. And I want to say something about those fear mongers and hate mongers on there. Okay. Here's what you have to understand. Okay. They're not on your side. They're not trying to help you. Their hatred for the current administration overshadows any attempt that they want to have to actually help you. Okay. They're more interested in making sure that the current administration gets smeared than they are in helping you. Okay. So don't pay attention to that rubbish. Approach it with a logical mind. Okay. The only thing that the current administration is against is illegal immigration.
Exactly.
If you're doing it the right way, if you're coming in through the door, through the wall, as it were, okay, and you're doing the processing, you're doing it with the papers and the proper identification, then you're fine. You got nothing to worry about. It's the people who are trying to sneak in
or
and tunnel under the wall or whatever,
records.
and people that have criminal records. Exactly, I've got to mention that. You know, if you got all kinds of criminal records or things like that, then yeah, you got something to worry about if you're trying to do it this, the wrong way. But if you're doing it the right way, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Current administration doesn't have a problem with that. They just don't want they want the illegal stuff to stop, and it needs to stop because it's creating a problem.
Because, like, for example, think of America as your own house.
Right.
You don't want anybody to just barge into your house. And that's what we are doing here. We did our process legally. Maybe it's time of the other administration or former administration, but it's the same process. We still went to the lengthy process with the backlogs.
Yeah, and it is a lengthy process. Don't get me wrong, okay? You're going to do a lot of waiting. There's going to be months and months that go by and you don't hear anything, okay? That's when you pray.
Yes.
That's what my wife and I did. We prayed unfalteringly through the entire process. Every morning when I would get up to go to work, and believe me, I get up early. I'm up before the sun even comes up. And I would pray on that sofa out there every morning for her to get her waiver and for this process to be recognized.
And finally, we are done with our immigration process. I know there's another one, which is the U.S. citizenship, but that's like an icing on the cake.
That's easy. That's an easy one compared to what we went through.
And we're so happy that we are able to share our ideas through our website, POWELLFULCOUPLEJourney.com. We have the J1 waiver bundle. We have the checklist. We have the cover letters, letters from friends and family, letter from our pastor. Please go there, even advise your opinion. We are going to share everything to you because we wanted to help. And the proceeds that we're taking from the website, we're also helping to the mountain pastors that we are supporting in the Philippines. And we met them in the first month of this year. And I'm so happy that we were able to become part of the Lord's ministry.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Thank
If you came to this part of the video, please consider to like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please click the notification bell. That way you will be notified for our next upcoming videos that we are showing here in our YouTube channel, Powerful Couple Journey. And we are so happy that our members and subscribers are growing and continually supporting our channel and our private group in Facebook, which is the J1 Waiver Helping Hands. Thank you so much. God bless and see you on our next video.
See you guys.